Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of...
Alright, now let's talk about good fat and bad fat. Separating the fats that are harmful from those that are beneficial. The role of dietary fat and why you need it, and sources of fat and saturated fat versus unsaturated fat. What are considered bad fats? A huge example is saturated fat. So this you can find mostly in meats, cheeses, butter, lard, chicken skin. So also coconut oil is saturated fat. Basically, to separate saturated fat from unsaturated fat, saturated fat is the solid fat, unsaturated fat is the more liquid fat. What is it that makes saturated fat dangerous? When it's only eaten on occasion. So for example, if you're eating a steak with a good amount of fat, it's going to taste great. But if you eat it every day, that's where you can actually build up the amount of cholesterol in your body. If you only ate that piece of steak with all the fat only on occasion, maybe once a week or once every other week, it's really not going to affect you at all. Same thing goes with eating fried chicken with the chicken skin on it. The chicken skin contains a lot of saturated fat, but if you only eat it on occasion, once a week, every other week, or once a month, or even more rare than that, it's not going to affect you at all. But if you were to eat it consistently, on a daily basis or 3-4 times a week, that can affect your blood cholesterol levels in the future. And when you're consuming a high amount of saturated fat, it does contribute to raised cholesterol and triglycerides. That also increases the chances of heart disease, and one of the reasons why blood pressure can be raised. There's also hydrogenated fat. So you will usually notice this in some of the cheaper brands of peanut butter, for example. Jif is the perfect example. How can you tell what's carrying hydrogenated fat versus non-hydrogenated fat in peanut butters? The ones with the non-hydrogenated fat, you have to stir before you use it. Whereas the Jif, it's already solid and you don't have to stir it at all. That's because they were able to convert unsaturated fat to be more saturated. So that's the reason why you don't have to stir that. Whereas the higher quality peanut butters where you do have to stir, it's unsaturated fat that's on the top of the peanut butter, and that's why you have to stir that in before you start using it. I mean, if you want to have the peanut butter without stirring, or you want to pour out that unsaturated fat, you can, but the peanut butter would be really, really dry, so it wouldn't be really spreadable if you were to do that. The hydrogenated fat, how that happens is it's a chemical process that converts the liquid fat into a solid / semi-solid fat, and that's how the Jif peanut butter, or the cheaper brands of peanut butter, is more solid than the more expensive, higher quality types of peanut butter. The danger about hydrogenated fat is that it can form trans fat. So you may have heard about trans fat. It was like in the mid-2000s where trans fat became a really, really hot topic. I mean, I even remember when Cheetos would advertise themselves as trans fat free, or 0 grams of trans fat in Cheetos. That doesn't necessarily mean Cheetos are healthy, it just means that they didn't use trans fat. However, with frying stuff that is cooked with high heat, just like fried chicken or French fries, Cheetos, that can actually create trans fat because of the high heat. And just like with the saturated fat, if you're only consuming trans fat on occasion, it's really not going to cause you a whole lot of health problems. It's not going to be measurable, and that's not going to be the reason why you just suffered a heart attack. If you were to eat it on a daily basis or multiple times a day, that's where it can create a problem in the future. Examples of good fats are unsaturated fats. These are the liquid fats that you find in olive oil, avocado oil, and seed oil. I know you've probably heard about seed oils, how dangerous they are, and how they're the cause of so many of the obesity problems in America. I'm actually going to go into that later on, so hold on to that before you start freaking out on me. So substituting monounsaturated fats, such as avocados, in place of saturated fats can help reduce the risk of heart disease. So again, unsaturated fats have actually been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease by clearing out the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, and raising HDL cholesterol. When I say LDL and HDL, LDL is short for low density lipoproteins. That's just the bad cholesterol, and high density lipoproteins is the good cholesterol. The good cholesterol, the HDL, it actually can help clear out the arteries, so that can reduce the risk of heart disease or stroke. Unsaturated fats are also rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which also has been shown to have a possible benefit in reducing heart disease, high blood pressure, and the risk of a stroke. The omega-3s can be found in chia seeds, oily fish like salmon, and walnuts. Is there such a thing as consuming too much unsaturated fat? Well, yeah. You have to remember, unsaturated fat is still fat. So fat is more energy dense than carbohydrates and protein. So if you're consuming a lot of unsaturated fat, you can still have the potential of gaining more weight. Unless you're like on a ketogenic diet where most of your diet is comprised of protein and fats, that's a different story. But if you're on a non-ketogenic diet and you're trying to lose weight, you still want to limit the amount of fat that you're consuming, just because it's so energy dense, because it has so many calories, and that makes it a lot more difficult for you to be able to lose weight effectively, because the way for you, the best way, the most proven way to lose weight is by going into a caloric deficit. And that just means that you're consuming fewer calories than you're burning, and in the long run, your weight is going to go down. All right, now let's talk about the hot topic of the day. And if you ever listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, you've probably heard a lot of times he rants on and on about how dangerous seed oils are. There is some truth to what he's saying, and there's also some things that he's exaggerating about. So this isn't to bash Joe Rogan. I'm a big fan of his podcast. I listen to it just about every day when I'm walking my dog, and I understand that he's become kind of a pariah in the eyes of many of the left-wing media and social media. But if you really listen to his podcast, he's really not a right-winger. So, but again, let's get back to the seed oil thing. There's a difference in the type of seed oil that you get. There are some seed oils that are totally healthy, unsaturated fats, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, can reduce the risk of heart disease. And there are more hazardous types of seed oils that contain trans fats and can actually increase a person's cholesterol levels and lead to other forms of heart disease. There is a lot of research that shows that seed oil has been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease, obesity, and also improve vision. The mode of extraction is what plays the biggest role in determining whether the seed oil is going to be helpful to a person who wants to become more healthy or harmful. What you want to look for if you're looking at seed oils and thinking about purchasing seed oils, to increase your intake of seed oils, what you want to look for is cold pressed. So basically it's squeezing out the oil in the seed, and that's going to maintain a lot of the antioxidants, vitamins. It doesn't change the chemical structure at all, and actually makes it very easy to digest, because it doesn't involve any of the high heat or detergents that you hear Joe Rogan and a lot of other media heads talking about the dangers of seed oil. With grapeseed oil, I know he's talked a lot about grapeseed oil being absolute dog shit, which it's not, as long as it's cold pressed. So grapeseed oil, cold pressed grapeseed oil, is produced in abundance, and that's why you can find it a lot cheaper than other types of seed oils, because when there's grape seeds in grapes, so when winemakers are making their wines, they have all these seeds that they need to get rid of, and grapeseed oil companies take those seeds and they use that to make their seed oil, the grapeseed oil. Now, whether the grapeseed oil manufacturers are using cold press or a heated press, that's where the difference, whether it can be helpful to a person's health or harmful, it can be differentiated. With a heated extraction, it can actually change the chemical structure of the seed oil, and with the intense heat that comes when trying to extract oil from a seed, that can actually produce trans fats, and those are what creates potential dangers in consuming those types of seed oils. Again, you're not getting that with the cold press seed oil. You're getting all the great stuff from cold press, and the high heat that comes with a heated press mode of extraction. It's killing off a lot of the antioxidants. It's creating those trans fats. It's killing off a lot of the vitamins. So you're not getting a whole lot of the health benefits from heated press versions of seed oils that you would have gotten from the cold press versions of the seed oil. So how can you tell which one's from heated press or which one is from cold press? Companies are smart. They know that cold press is marketable, so they'll put that on the label. Cold extracted from cold press. The heated press companies, they're not going to advertise that it's from heated press because they understand the harmful characteristics of that type of fat. So they'll actually be pushing more the price, that being a good chunk lower than the cold press price. So they're banking on you just making your selection based on price, as opposed to making your selection based on whether something is heated press or cold pressed. So in conclusion, seed oil isn't the problem. It's the mode of extraction of the seed oil that can present problems to your health. Look for stuff that is cold pressed, that doesn't look like it's in the ingredient list. It just says grape seeds or sunflower seeds or whatever type of seed oil that you're getting. If it looks like a total chemistry project, that's a good indication that they're using detergents or it's a heated press mode of extraction, and those brands you want to make sure that you avoid. This is going to be a little short one. It's about alcohol and weight loss. How does alcohol affect weight loss? Can you still lose weight while consuming alcohol? Or is that alcohol just going to throw out all your potential gains by having a drink or two? It depends. So first off, it depends on how much alcohol you're consuming. So you have to remember, alcohol is a macronutrient. If you recall, from fat, you get 9 calories per gram. From carbohydrates and protein, you get 4 calories per gram. With alcohol, you get 7 calories per gram. The alcohol is broken down in the liver and it's immediately stored as fat. So that's one of the reasons why, if you're really serious about losing weight, you want to limit the amount of alcohol that you're consuming, because, like I just said right now, it goes immediately to being stored in as fat. If you just have 1 drink or 2 drinks a week, it's not going to affect you at all. You'll burn off that fat while you're sleeping that night, pretty much, or pretty much the next day that you're watching TV. So don't be thinking that you consumed alcohol, you're going to get fat. It's not going to happen that quickly. With high alcohol consumption, there is a whole lot of research that links it to weight gain, high triglycerides, increased risk of heart disease. When you combine alcohol with high-calorie beverages such as vodka soda or screwdriver, which is vodka with orange juice, or whatever cocktail that you like drinking that contains a high-calorie beverage with that alcohol, you're basically just increasing the amount of calories that you're consuming. If you're going to be drinking just a shot of vodka or a shot of tequila, it's going to be fewer calories that you're consuming if you, in comparison to one of those high-calorie beverages that combine juice or sodas with the alcohol. If you are one of those types that doesn't like drinking just a straight shot of whatever type of alcohol that you're going to drink, whether it's tequila, rum, vodka, or whatever that you're going for, opt for something that's lower calories, such as water or a diet soda. You could, if you got a Coke Zero that contains no calories, and you're not going to be increasing the amount of calories that you're taking in. So that can help reduce the amount of weight that you gain from the alcohol. However, when you're drinking alcohol, you have to remember that you're probably not going to be making the wisest decisions when it comes to your eating. So you're probably going to go to the first taco shop that you see, or going to Denny's and order everything on the menu, and you're not going to be making sure that you eat just a salad or something like that. And there's still the possibility, but in all likelihood, you're probably going to go for the taco shop and kill a California burrito while you're at it. So there you go. There's a little quick spiel about how alcohol can affect weight loss. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you drink alcohol, that's going to automatically make you become fat, but it does make it a lot easier for a person to gain weight when they drink alcohol, especially when they're combining it with a high-calorie beverage, and especially when they're drinking and there's high-calorie foods nearby. Probably going to go for those high-calorie foods, and especially if you're drinking heavy amounts of alcohol multiple times a week, that's also going to contribute to potential weight gain, in addition to other health problems that can come from high alcohol consumption, which you would be best advised to limit the amount of alcohol that you're taking in each week, just so that you don't have any of those long-term chronic health problems that can come from high alcohol consumption. So just try to limit the amount of alcohol that you're drinking. If it's just like one glass of wine that you drink each night after work, you'll be totally fine. Buy a glass of wine, but I have to mention this, a glass of wine is supposed to only be 5 ounces. It doesn't mean you're filling up the entire glass. I know a lot of people get that messed up. Make sure that you keep it to just 5 ounces, all right? That's it for this one. See you next time on the Workout Nerdout.